She has a passion for discovering new talent for film and TV, much like her iconic mom, Mother Lily. She now helms up Regal Entertainment in an era of streaming, where audiences, now more than ever, are spoiled for choice. With us now for Thought Leaders, the Chief Operating Officer and Vice President of Regal Entertainment Inc. and Chairperson for Entertainment Producers of the Philippines, Roselle Monteverde. So good to have you with us, Roselle. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Cathy.
And it's great to see you at the Asian Academy Creative Awards right here in Manila, a confluence and a gathering of TV, film producers around Asia and in the Philippines, just finding ways to partner and collaborate.
Yes, yes.
Where are you in that ecosystem right now as you're a legacy film company, now also venturing into multimedia in the age of streaming?
Well, we're still here, surviving whatever we have right now in the movie industry,
After
the entertainment
62
industry,
years.
after 62 years. What's nice right now is parang, it's becoming very global, and the barrier for countries to be working together, it's getting, easier. So
I'm sure the competition is tougher. Competition for content, maybe even for talent. I can only
Yes.
imagine it's really good for audiences, but what about for producers and distributors like yourselves and in a legacy company?
Well, there's a lot of learnings, new learnings actually, because I've learned from how Regal was before with my mom, who always have been a hands-on entrepreneur. So she ran the business in our house. So that was really something that I really embraced. And because looking at her on how she managed it, medyo I was able to absorb them. So right now, how we develop talents is there's so many ways, because actually it takes a long time to develop one. Sometimes they would start as young as 5 years old, 6 years old. So but right now, because of social media, they're more exposed and they cannot do it on their own. So there's so much differences now. You can be popular as influencers, but really different when you get to the big screen, when you really do act for a movie. That takes another training, because not all influencers or celebrities can be a good actor. So that's where you train them, because right now, nowadays, it's really how talented you are. That really counts a lot, not how popular you'll be.
That's so interesting. I mean, from mom's perspective, Mother Lily, who started it all in film and cinema. First and foremost, as you say, she is a film fan. That's where she's
Yes.
coming from, and that's her perspective. With the advent of social media, what does she think about all these changes, and how is she getting on? Is she learning more from you? Are you learning more from her? What's the interaction like?
It's really, we talk a lot about what's happening now and what it used to be before. She would even say, before I go to this big studio outfit, I get out from school, I go straight to the studio, and I'm a movie fan. I would, go up the fence and really peek through the high walls and
That
look
would
at
be
my
her
favorite
in the 60s,
artists.
70s,
Yeah.
80s.
Yeah. So more or less because she's in that, she has that passion. She's been watching a lot of local talents. I think that's how she discovered new talents as well. For her, it's not the look, not just the look. It's really how your personality is, because it's really hard work for an actor to become a good actor.
So the pandemic must have changed her and her viewing habits, the whole family's viewing habits. As you've mentioned, she takes work at home, and
Yeah.
during the pandemic, everybody was at home. So how did that change the way your thinking is on how to move forward with Regal Entertainment? You've rebranded it from Regal Films.
Yes, we rebranded it from Regal Films long time ago, ever since she handled it. This was during the 90s when she rebranded it. Um, well, the changes now, it's because it's easier now, because a lot of it is through digital. You don't really need to be inside the room watching television. Everything is on demand. Anytime you want to watch something, everything is on your mobile phone, and it's easier access. It gets a bit tougher because the audience taste, it changes so fast. Right now, they would like to have something that they want to watch this at this time, and then suddenly, when their brains, their thoughts, it gets influenced easily because of the influence of social media. And they would expect more and more. You need to level up and level up on the content that you provide. Something that is more fresher. You yourself, me myself, it's always learning. I cannot just, let time pass or let the technology pass you by without every day I have to check on the cell phone. What's in, what's trending?
Well,
So,
what's trending now? What are you seeing that's going to inform you of the next big thing for cinema or maybe even streaming?
it's hard to say. What's trending now may not be the in thing for tomorrow or for the near future. You just have to really think of a fresh ideas always that will really entice the audience. And it's not as simple as, hey, magpapatawa ako. It's not just simple as, I'm going to make you laugh. I'm going to make you cry. Because for sure, if you watch this movie, I'm going to make you cry. There's so much storytelling that you need to really reboot or really create for the new audiences now.
That storytelling, very telling. Metro Manila Film Fest in 2023 produced really quality shows. At a time, people were still wanting to go back to cinemas, maybe not in a big way, but we've also introduced higher ticket prices.
Mhm.
How would you assess the kind of audience we have now with streaming, on demand, available on their phones, available on TV, through streamers? Do they still want to go back to the big screen? Is there a demand there that we're still trying to reach back into pre-pandemic? Or is that gone?
It really depends because right now, for them to be worth their while, taking the commute to the cinema, spending the higher ticket prices, so it needs to be worth their money and worth their while to be watching something that would really entertain them. So it has to have the cinematic experience.
Are you for higher ticket prices? Do you think it's worth their money
Well,
to go to the cinema when they could probably just spend on a subscription, video on demand?
that's really something that we're talking about now about the ticket pricing. Being part of the entertainment producers of the Philippines. That's one of the hurdle that we have because of the higher ticket price and easy access to streaming, which is it's a monthly subscription compared to just a one-time viewing in a cinema. So we kind of right now talking with the cinemas about having a fair pricing, and I think they have started to do that. I've
So
seen ticket price in some cinemas that are at 250, 270.
that brings us back to pre-pandemic levels and when the movie-going public numbers were higher
Yes.
versus 2023 when we've
Yes.
seen a drop in the number of moviegoers to the Metro
Yes.
Manila Film Fest. If we were just to take that microcosm of an
Mhm.
example,
True.
then we can base it on probably 250 as a base rate, perhaps.
As a-
If ticket prices can be at 250, then people will come and watch
Mhm.
their favorite movies on the big screen,
Right.
but not when it's any higher.
Because the thing is, they would only example for the Metro Manila Film Fest. There are there's like 10 movies that are being shown during that time period. So usually, pre-pandemic, I would watch 2 movies at least. But right now, they would only choose one because of the higher ticket price. So the repeat of going back to watch another movie, they would think about it.
But there are others who also say our audience probably got a little bit more discerning,
Oh,
a little bit more nuanced in their desire to watch and also figure out what entertains them. And it's not just escapist, not that it's bad, but it's always been the case when you talk about escapist equals masses. I mean, are you seeing that from the side of the audience? Has there been a change
oh
in
my.
the cinema goer
You know
through the
what?
decades?
You know what, Kathy? What's so amazing now is because the last movie that we've shown, Shake, Rattle, and Roll,
Extreme.
Extreme.
Right.
Yeah,
That was scary.
Yeah.
I saw that. I was held at the edge of my seat.
Okay, that's good. I'm happy that you did.
The direction was good, I must say.
Yeah. So, what's so different about it now is, I'm quite happy with the results of that movie because there was word of mouth, and at the same time, a lot of this young audience, Gen Z millennials, they would do their own review on their own account in TikTok. They talk about it, what they felt about the movie, which part made them really scared. You know, the viewers right now, they are your reviewers already. So that's really something. That's how social media is. That's how powerful social media is. So if you don't really deliver good content, the word gets out. Patay ka na.
As in the movie, there had been murderous scenes there. But if we were to focus on just that, on their responses and their reviews, what then makes good content? Is it budget, talent? What kind of a mix are you now seeing? Now that you're getting immediate responses from the netizens themselves, who are the moviegoers.
It has to be something new. It has to be something new. As far as storytelling is concerned, it cannot just be, one-dimensional. You need to have dynamic characters. It's something that has to, make them think or entertain. Something of there is sentimental value for them, and the satisfaction that they get out from watching it.
Is that what we get from K-dramas, Korean content? Because that's really traveled very well, not just regionally, but globally.
Yes.
What's in it that makes it so sticky that even the Hallyu arrived here in the Philippines, really stuck even well after the pandemic?
Right. It's not just here. It's global. So that's a phenomenon actually. So even though it's in a different dialect, if the storytelling is good, just recently there is a new movie. This was shown like 3 weeks ago. It's a Thai movie. It's just a simple story about a grandmother and a kid wanting to be a millionaire before grandmother dies. For a Thai movie dubbed in English, it did really well in the cinemas. So it's really the narrative that you can relate to the audience.
Some would say that if you wanted to tell a good story, you got to start from home. Do you agree with that? That great storytelling really has to resonate first in the market that you're serving before it can get to travel well regionally and globally.
You're right. Because we don't really know what really makes it globally, right? So if you are a filmmaker or if you are a producer, you want something that is strong in your local country, and it can be picked up easier because they know that this movie made it in this country. And there's something that you can sell because of the track record in your own country.
We've got a couple of names that have made it global. On the Job is one with Eric Mati. And your brother, Don Monteverde, is a co-producer. In fact, executive produced that movie.
Yes.
In that sort of an example, how does that travel and become successful in international markets? What have we learned, or at least your brother learned from that, and what he shared makes a winner, not only locally, but globally?
On the Job is very current, right? It's something that is bravely done, storytelling wise, something that is new for the global audience. Oh my gosh, this happens, in the Philippines, So it there's curiosity in terms of global because it's very relevant socially and politically.
And from there, has Don reprised that with another movie that he thinks might travel globally well?
I think they're doing the series for an OTT platform.
Now there are performers from our end. Really happy to say that some of our Filipino talent from overseas, from Pixar, if you know, si Ronnie Del Carmen, his movie Pixar movie, um, won an Oscar nomination. Inside Out
Inside
won an
Out,
Oscar
yeah.
nomination back in 2015. It's now got Inside Out #2, but he's already moved to Netflix because he feels that he can tell the narrative of the Filipino anthology much better in a streamer producing its own original content. What do you make of these talents, Filipino talent, who are now making the move from really huge legacy production companies into streamers?
It's good. It's good. I mean, more a lot of people, more young ones will get inspired into being like them. It's a good ecosystem. It's a good way to show that there are Filipinos you know, who are very talented, and they decide to just move on to be their own producers and storytellers.
It's interesting because there's a lot of moving parts here we're seeing internationally and locally. From your perspective, where do you then take the best opportunity out of this changing ecosystem? You've got a lot of talent that are being awarded overseas, probably even shining a light to our country as a venue, maybe a destination for international productions. Then you've got Regal and the legacy film, family film production companies, such as yourself, Viva, also having to contend with the legacy TV companies like, say, GMA or maybe ABS-CBN. How do you now work to ensure that you're making the best out of the partnerships or maybe collaborations that scale can give you to make great films?
We do have we have a team wherein we constantly brainstorm about new ideas, new concepts. It ranges from different ages. So we're working that way. And I think the key for us to live longer, even though with the legacy of Regal before and the new and with the network around, we do get partnerships and collabs, but it's still bringing the content that is really important.
Do you find that they're more competitors or collaborators? What's the sort of interesting dynamic I would presume that goes around conversations as you brainstorm? Because you're all different brands and companies here, but you need to work together to build scale and to make a winning project come together.
Yeah. It's quite fair naman, I would say. I'm saying this because maybe we've been here for quite a while, right? That's on my own how I see it. Because we've been partners anyway with ABS-CBN and GMA for a long time. So we still do our partnership up to now, and we're also doing partnership with Signal as well. So there's really, for us, the more partners that we work with, the happier we are because it gets to show that we can produce more product. It gets to show liveliness in our industry. So there's quite, even what I mean is, even though it's not that easy to produce a content, but with the collaboration and hearing ideas from different networks or from different people, right? It just excites you. And from a germ of a content, it can grow into something really, because sometimes people would just say food, what kind of food, and then it adds on. It adds on to something that you can make a story out of this food. And then who eats the food, right? How is it made? So there's a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways, and I would say it keeps me exciting every time I, exchange ideas, even with other countries when we tend to talk. That's why networking is really great. Meeting people is really great. Traveling is really great. Because that's how you absorb and learn new things and see new ideas.
When you first got to talk to your first over-the-top online streamer, for instance, was
Okay.
that a scary event or an exciting one? I'm thinking of View, because View is now collaborating with the likes of GMA, ABS-CBN, and independent producers to create content in what they call as hyper-localization.
Yes.
Do you find that they're potential collaborators or competitors in the industry?
No, they're collaborators. They're collaborators because their platform, they would like to have ideas from different people as well to have a content. So they're really partners.
Are you looking at doing any content on a multi-country basis? Because that's also another approach.
Yes.
It's not just maybe an adaptation. Oftentimes we watch adaptations from Korea, but now there are multi-country productions that probably, we work with Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines to create this beautiful content that resonates from a regional perspective.
That's something that we're working on actually. Something that is of original. Because they're also looking at original content. So it's not just adaptation. So I think they've done original and they have, they have this. They're also asking for original contents.
I'm imagining now what your day is like with meetings, with maybe online streamers, and then with legacy companies. What's it like right now to be able to brainstorm really well and find the next big hit?
Okay, we have a team that does that. But my day is gets busy because there's a lot of things that's happening, not only in the creative side but also in the business side. So I try to balance it out as well as my personal side. So it's been like that ever since, and it's quite normal actually for me. And with the digital onset of, because of all this digital technology that we have right now, it's becoming easier because most of my meetings are through Zoom. But of course, you still want the face-to-face.
Of course, as everyone would. I mean, if you wanted to also meet a talent or maybe even meet the person you'll be shaking hands with.
Right.
In terms of your connection with the talent, how are you dealing now with that? The training, you mentioned that there's a training that has to be done. Now that a certain maybe influencer would want to make a jump and go into film, not an easy path, but it can be done. What do you do to help and intervene and make sure that that path is successful?
For the recent movie that we had, that was shown last year, we had some influencers that were part of the movie as characters. So to make it really easier was to play us who they are, what they are best with. When
Which
they
movie
were
was this?
Shake, Rattle, and
All
Roll.
right, yes.
So
They had a segment in there in one of the episodes.
Yeah, we had a segment wherein we used influencers. And social media personalities, use them their strength. So that in itself, it's a good collab, because they collab their talent and who they're good, what they're best with. They were able to work with actors. I mean, for me, that's something new. So so I like excitement like that. When you see something that is new, that's really working. But of course, you shouldn't stop at that, because there are other things that can happen. You wouldn't know when. You just have to keep on trying.
Do you think that that could be used as a template going forward in making sure that maybe the legacy performers, legacy talent, and not just talking about actors, but the directors, producers, writers, the ones in the backdrop, get to work well with those who are natives in social media and who want to make a jump to film?
Yeah. I'm not saying that it can be a template, because somebody might do a better one, right? But for example, that my director for that episode, so the influencer asked him, "What do you want me to do here? How do you want me to act?" So the director would say, "Just be yourself. This is what you're good at. Just be yourself." And that's what he did. And perfect. He did it really well, because, it wasn't like, he wasn't like asked to do a drama scene or whatever. He was just asked to do something that he has been doing on his vlogs.
So now we go back to training. Who do we then train? Do we now train the legacy performer to to kind of know what it's like
Well,
in the social media age? Is it any different for them to be able
well,
to
it's
give a
harder
good
now.
performance?
It's harder now actually for the actors and everyone else because you know how nasty social media can be. Like sometimes, you need to be responsible with what you post or whatever you post. It's out there. You need to be expect people to like it or not, right? So it's more challenging for them if your post. Not everyone would like what you post, so you just have to go through the bashers and everyone else. So it's they need to be trained. A good actor can must be trained to how to deal and have social responsibility and be responsible with their posts and accept the consequences of whatever they post. At the same time, if an influencer wants to enter the part of being more than just influencers and be an actor, they also need to go through the training and workshops.
Does that also
It's
change the metrics in which you find success in a certain film? Maybe as Regal Entertainment, it's not just box office sales, but how social media treated that film or that performance. Are you also looking closely at that?
Oh yeah,
Has that become a metric?
it can be,
Can
but
be, so but not yet
not
because
yet.
it still is box office sales. This is what
Yeah.
we're looking at.
Well, it doesn't really. For example, someone who has a lot of followers, when you get this person who has a lot of followers to do a lead role in a movie, doesn't mean that the movie will do really well because a lot of it is really in making a movie. It's a collaboration of different people. It's really the story. It's really how you act. It's really how your chemistry is with your co-actor. Um, Sometimes you would feel whether it's very genuine or is it something that no, it's not believable. Because right now the audience, they're very quite sophisticated with the taste. Once they see something that is so fake, oh, it's a turn off, right? So for us, the metrics would be still the word of mouth. If we get a lot of positive feedbacks, yeah, really, that's the best.
And even better, perhaps, if we make it big in the global scene, as John Arcilla did, and Dolly De Leon, her
Yeah.
Golden Globe nomination, along with her BAFTA nominations
Yes.
back in 2023. John Arcilla in 2021 for his Volpe Cup Best Actor Award at the
Mhm.
Venice Film Festivals. I'm wondering if that kind of spotlight on them and other talents that have made it big abroad brought the focus to the Philippines as an international destination for productions from overseas to come and do their films here
Mhm.
and show how beautiful our country is.
Yeah, I think that's the work right now with the film development. That's there. They This is the reason why they go to different film market to showcase the Philippines, not just the talents, but also to have a location and shoot here in the Philippines and use a lot of the industry, the people in the industry to work with them.
How would that benefit a film and distribution company as yours? Would you find that there is a collaboration that can be had with international film productions that decide to film in the Philippines?
Well, yeah, you learn from each other. Um, and usually when they come here, they already have the narrative that they want. And they would start scouting for talents, scouting for, production stuff. And scout for location. You become their producers. They're producers here in the country.
Is there any way that we can have a say as to what they'll produce, maybe in the near future? Because a lot of it, of the productions made here, still show a little bit more of the negative side
Yeah.
of the Philippines and what is beautiful. To
Mhm.
what extent, as a Regal Entertainment, involved in changing that narrative or actually influencing the international producers who come here and do their movies?
As far as if there are other country who wants to work here, um, they would match match a producer to work with them. But Kathy, usually, if you want, the story has to come out from here locally, okay, and then you collab. This is what you present during film markets. This is what we have, and this is what we want to do in the Philippines. And if you want to have, foreigners to be involved, you can collaborate with a story that is both their their story and your story combined.
So that's where your power comes in, and your ability to influence is really in being a co-creator
Yes.
with an international film producer. In the Film Development Council, and Joey Reyes spoke in that same forum where you were also part of the panel, he made a mention of incentives and the need to give more incentives, comparable, hopefully, maybe to maybe a destination like Australia. Australia's given a lot, or continues to give a lot of incentives for international film productions to film in the country. And it's important for them because it's got a huge economic impact when you talk about jobs. Do you find that there could be that kind of an impact as well to our economy? If we talk about the film industry itself contributing to the growth of jobs and impacting the economy as a whole.
We need a program wherein it can be a continuous process so that people can be given the jobs, right? And to show that because if ever, because movies is a good way to promote, especially when you showcase your country in a good light, right? Just like Korea, it started with the food, eating their food, and then because of the food, tourism came, right? The tourism of Korea became became very big. So definitely there would be an impact if you showcase how beautiful the country is. You showcase how delicious our food is. There's so many ways to do that in a form of media. I think that's the best way for you to really have an impact for the economy, because tourists would come over.
Oftentimes, I'm told the reason why Korea is the way it is, in the way it's developed that kind of phenomenon around the world, is because it had and continues to have government support. How important is that in this ecosystem that we're now building? We've got great talent coming from overseas, talent from here, storytelling coming from the Philippines, wanting to break out and become worth telling as well in the region. How important is government support, and what sort of support is needed?
I think because we've been meeting with the Department of Tourism with that matter, to have an ease of shooting as far as getting the permits. We've been meeting with the ILG as well for the ease of getting permits, because I think that's always been the problem. There's so much, for a foreigner to come over here, there's too many requirements. And even for us local producers, when we need to shoot in a location, there are too many permits to get. So, of course, for us, it's been like a normal thing, right?
How many permits are we talking about? I'm thinking about the ease of doing business, so that hasn't had an impact in the film and TV industry when it comes to location shoots.
Okay, we do have the municipality permit, then we have the barangay permit. So for the barangay permit, you need, even though it's the same area, you wouldn't know you're crossing over another barangay, so you need to get another barangay permit. So in other countries, when you talk to a film commission outside, when you shoot abroad, there's only one person you're going to talk to, and he's going to take care of everything. And there's only one permit for the whole city that you're going to shoot. There's no other permits that you need to do. Because that was my experience when I shot abroad. It's like, I just need one permit for the whole month. And here, the permit would go day by day. So it's not like, can I get a permit for the whole month? Because we're shooting here. It's not been easy. So, but then there are people who does that for us. There's a location manager who does that for us, who get the permits. But for a foreign country to be coming here, they would really need a local partner to process that for them, because it's when you go to another country, getting a permit is much easier.
So we've got permits as an obstacle, maybe even the lack of incentives, government support, funding. Where can we start from where we're at, from where you're at, from the film development, Philippine side, already trying to professionalize the industry, introducing trainings? You've mentioned trainings, there's education there. How can you help, coming from a legacy film and TV production company, to scale up what's already being done from the private sector side, in the hope that somewhere down the line, the government support will come and build for more scale?
I think that's what we've been doing, Kathy, because in our own company we do train a lot of producers. We don't just train the creative side, but we also train producers to be efficient, to be um, to be thinking producers.
So we've maxed out, as in you've that's already a given, in any of your endeavors, even in the social media era. Then that hasn't changed. Training is very important and is a big cost component, perhaps, in doing one certain film or maybe even TV project, an anthology.
Yes, yes. Plus, um, because it's quite normal for a movie producer to go through the daily task of always checking what's going on in a shoot, because any time of the day, if you have delays in the shoot, that costs money, right? And even though for bad weather, for so many things that can go wrong, if something goes wrong, it's really, your production costs can go up. So government incentives, as far as hoping that we can fix the taxes for, and I think
Would that be under create, the tax
create is
amendments?
still different.
Okay.
We're talking about taxes for local amusement tax, for also for the VAT component side. What else? There's so many. um, the national tax.
And it doesn't have to be an infusion of money, but just maybe an amendment of an existing policy or
Yeah.
tax benefit that they can
Yes.
give you that can power up the industry.
Yes, because we used to have under the FDCP before was the Cinema Evaluation Board. So it's like a form of incentive for local producers. If your movie gets a good rating, let's say, because there's two types of rating, graded A or B. If you get at least a B, you get 60% rebate. So, but that has been abolished.
But that had been a big help. So
That had been a big help.
reviving that would help a big deal.
Yes.
Which leads
But-
to, yes.
But reviving it, I'm not sure how, but maybe a new way, a new method.
So in terms of profitability, I'm thinking now that it's a little bit more challenging, is it, to be more profitable? You've got competition coming from streamers, good for audiences, they're spoiled for choice, but they now have the choice of either subscribing on video on demand versus going to the cinema, and here you are trying to work, with reduced margins because of the cost of doing business here is so high. Now that you make a mention of the numerous permits one has to have in order to get a production shot. So is it a little more difficult now and more challenging to make money?
I wouldn't say that. Well, before, yeah, it was easier because the form of entertainment before was just the cinemas, labas na tayo kasi manood na tayo ng sine. But now, people are distracted in so many ways. There's so many entertainment that they can get easily on the mobile. They can get that, right? So the cinema would be something, worth it ba to watch it? Oh, I heard it's good. Yeah, then let's watch. But I'm not saying that the profit margin is, you need longevity, shelf life. So maybe the shelf life in cinema wouldn't be that long anymore, but yet you have other platforms that you can showcase. You can show your movie, right? From the cinema, then it gets to the OTT platforms, and then you get to the linear television, cable television. So there's so many ways. There are other platforms that you can show, license out your product, your content.
So it's a longer opportunity to get that return on investment. So it's more of the
Yes.
duration
The
right now because
duration.
you have so
Yeah.
many platforms to deal with.
Mhm.
I know back in 2022, you made a mention that if there's one important thing you learned from mom, it's taking risks.
Oh yeah. I think in any business, that's the way it is, right?
But what risk did you take in the intervening years that you would consider the riskiest and the best risk taking that you've ever done for Regal Entertainment that paid off?
I would say every movie that you make is a risk, because you put out at least like 20 million, 15 million at least, ranging out or up to 30 million. And things like that. Risk can be calculated, wherein you have the right mix. So I'm trying to think now what would be the riskiest that I did. Maybe when I produced m- an LGBTQ movie, that I love the narrative, and it's really it's in a the movie was usually kasi pag LGBTQ, it's a gay movie, you expect it to be funny, you laugh at it, but this is more serious. So when I greenlit that project, go ahead and do it, because I believe in the director. I believed in the with the story. I was surprised. It was a number one in that festival, in the Metro Manila Film Festival.
Which movie
And
was it?
yet that actor, it's his first lead. Die Beautiful.
Yes, of course. Who
Yes.
hasn't seen that? Very moving, very original, in fact.
Yes.
There is a problem of piracy, and that has really gone on for the longest time, and even more so in this digital era, digital piracy. How is that impacting business as we know it, as multimedia? You're into cinema, you're into TV, anthologies, and also online. How are you dealing with that, and what sort of help does the industry need to be able to keep that from overtaking the money that you're making?
It's a struggle, because in our company we do have someone that searches all these torrent sites every day, daily. It's a struggle because you're still showing your movie in the movie houses, and yet they can just join a private group wherein they only pay minimal, like 10 pesos. I'll be able to watch this film. So of course it depletes the revenue the revenue, right? So I think there is a law that is that works towards this digital piracy, that polices this digital piracy, and we're hoping that it can fast track, even getting, but it's hard. It's going to be hard to really detect where it's coming from, right? And well,
And it's not only a monetary loss, but a loss of the creative process. Because if a lot gets pilfered through piracy, then there is that loss in the initiative of our creatives to actually do what they do best.
yeah, you're right, because they get frustrated, and you don't want that. So yeah, we're working with the government with regards to digital piracy. I'm hoping that we'll get help on that part.
Finally, before we wrap, what are you watching at the moment, or maybe streaming?
I watch a lot. Every night I go home, let's say, I wouldn't sleep till like past midnight, because I tend to watch any type of genre that would really, entice me and really would make me binge watch something.
So it's
So
streaming. You
any.
stream at night, past
I
midnight.
watch my news, I watch the streaming, I watch the teleseries.
And how about mom? Does she look over and see what are you watching right now?
I
Or
don't know what she
have
does
her
at
own?
night, seriously. But my mom would love to chat a lot on the phone. What are you doing now?
Oh, that's interesting.
Because, actually she doesn't, I don't know, maybe it's age. She doesn't really watch too much television now, but
Does she
she
still
likes
go
to chat.
to the cinema? All right, she likes to chat, but does she ask you to take me to the cinema? Does she still?
My mom is not as well. She stopped watching in cinemas for quite some time. Also, maybe because of she doesn't want to sit long. Maybe it's the age, right? But she enjoys watching television.
And for those who wish to go your path, you've chosen this industry as you've grown into the industry thanks to your mom. What would you say to the creatives, those millennials, the Gen Zs that want to take your path, maybe on screen or maybe off screen?
Well, for the creatives, there's so many stories that you can write about. You can even write about yourself, right? Anything that interests you, just put it cannot. You need to go out of the box, and you need to see how it is, the experiences that each people have. Sometimes they say it has to be larger than life, but sometimes you would see, life is just, most of the people that you see around the street, everyone has a story to tell. For sure, they have. They like, it's just a matter of really training your thought, writing a good story, and always get inspired. Because once you are and you have the passion, you'll go a long way. You love your job.
Well, here's to
Love
going
what you
out
do.
of the box in the next maybe 62 years. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us. Congratulations on a job well done for the last 60. I must ask, as you are turning a milestone, what are you hoping to do when you're past 60?
I don't know, Kathy. We'll see. I don't really plan for these things, like just like when I was younger, I wanted to really go out of the country and really study abroad. I don't really plan for these things. It's something that's in me. Whatever I think right now, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do.
Well, it's a story that has yet to be told. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Roselle, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Well, catch us again next Thursday at 9 p.m. Philippine Standard Time on One News. You can also check out the long conversation on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. I'm Cathy Yang. This is Thought Leaders.